Telecom operators in Nigeria have discussed the various issues affecting infrastructure in major cities across the country. According to the operators during the West Africa Telecoms Infrastructure Summit and Exhibition WATIS, organized by the Technology Mirror in partnership with Tech X Innovation Hub in Lagos, the challenges are cases of insecurity, vandalism, high right-of-way charges, among others. Speaking to the theme of the summit, the future of infrastructure connectivity and services, a new interdependent of ecosystem of partners, the chairman managing director of RX Engineering Global Limited, Engineer Spencer Teeve, said lack of commitment from the government has led to a consistent attack on telecom infrastructure across the country.
Telecom assets are not properly secured. A lot of vandalization are currently going on. Theft cases, assets in the field are being vandalized. Generators, fiber optics cables, backup batteries, HVAC or air conditioning units are being vandalized, are being stolen. Even diesel. Of course, we realize today that a diesel is about 1,000 naira per liter. So imagine, heavy investment is being put into that. If these are being stolen in the field, it will create a lot of crisis for the telecom industry. Government must have to put in efforts to secure the assets in this sector.
He further stated that all stakeholders in the telecom sector have to recognize that no single body can meet the multiple demands of the digital age in isolation.
All the stakeholders in the telecom family must have to come together. The MNOs, the IFRACO or the TAWACO, all the subscribers, everyone that have a stake in the telecom must come together to resolve this. Telecom companies have complained of huge losses in terms of their infra that be stolen in the field. Government is working on that. Working to reduce the theft incidences in the field, but it's not enough. In the field, we see people connive to steal infrastructure, and at the end of the day, they just get away with it. No punishment, nothing is done. So the police must be tasked on this to ensure telecom infrastructure are well secured.
The failure of telecom infrastructure. And the theme rightly displayed, the industry is an ecosystem of interdependent partners. All the partners have a role to play. It's like the chain of the motorbike. When there is a problem in one of the knob, what happens? The motorbike will not run. The same thing with our industry. All the key players, they are all connected. Data center, the telcos, those of them in the mobile money sector, they are all interconnected. And once there is a glitch in any of them, the digital economy dream becomes what? More or less like a comatose.
The Chief Executive Officer of Colopos, a tower infrastructure company, Mr. Mike Ofili, highlighted some of the challenges that have prompted operators to slow down their expansion into rural areas, plus the difficulty to lay fiber cable across many communities in Nigeria. He explains that 90% of the data center in Nigeria are in Lagos and less in other states, in a chat with other speakers during the panel section.
What we're saying here is we are talking about the data centers We are talking about towers. We are talking about fiber, both the international network ones and the metro fiber. We are talking about a lot of things, the digital telecom infrastructure in the marketplace. I can tell you that 90% of the data centers in Nigeria are in Lagos. And I don't know how you want to spread and do 70% or 90% broadband penetration in Nigeria with all the data centers in Lagos. It takes more than the head of John the Baptist to move to do metro fiber in Nigeria. You cannot cross any community without paying heavily. I'm telling you, you cannot build towers in some places in Nigeria. You cannot build them. I build towers, I own towers, and I can tell you that at a certain time you may decide not to build, even if you have reason to build. And the operators, the MNOs, don't build any longer. They give this task to the infracos, they give the task to the towercos, and we are meant to build in some dangerous areas. So let us come and be practical about the whole issue. There are some states, I can bet you don't have fiber in some states. Because to take a metro fiber to some of those states, you will need heavy load of security to do them, not funding this time around.
With the multiple challenges, returns on investment in infrastructure, Mr. Chidi Ajuzie, Chief Operating Officer of WTS Project Limited, speaks on the importance of the event.
Infrastructure is always critical and it's also evolving. You know, like you hear us talk about the ecosystem, you evolve from 2 to 3 to 4 to 5G. And each time an evolution happens, you have to essentially retrofit that infrastructure and put in the new ones. So I think what can we do to grow the industry and grow the infrastructure? I mean, we alluded to some of those in the panel. One is the policies to make sure investments come in. Security is very important. Like we always say, power is important because the telecom ecosystem is powered primarily by electricity. So unless that happens, you are not able to power those systems. So making sure that the barrier to entry is low or the sustainable barrier is low is very important. You know, if we have power today, it helps solve a lot of the problems. And then, of course, incentives for operators to grow the infrastructure in this space. There is still a huge gap in terms of the underserved areas. So creating incentives to make sure we go to these rural communities so that we can also digitally empower them and so that they can join the digital workforce and the digital ecosystem is very important.
WATIS has the support of the Telecoms regulator, the Nigerian Communications Commission (NCC), and IHS Tower Nigeria. The association licensed Telecommunication Company of Nigeria as the first regional gathering of stakeholders in the telecoms industry, with the aim to tackle the challenges of telecom infrastructure, which is affecting the growth of the region's digital economy. For more on well-researched and balanced stories, events and interviews across business, tech innovation and lifestyle, please like, share and subscribe to this channel, www.youtube.com/Digivation Network.